I'm going to focus for much of the rest of this module on the hydrocarbon bit. A lot of times that might be a boring bit in terms of the chemistry, but it's actually a really good bit to look at in terms of introducing some very important concepts such as naming, such as isomers, and such as three-dimensional structures. So let's think about naming first of all. As I'm sure you know, when you name organic compounds, one of the fundamental things you use is to say how many carbon atoms there are. And of course, organic chemists have a unique way of numbering things. 1 for an organic chemist isn't mono, it's meth. 2 isn't bi or di, it's eth. 3 isn't tri or ter, it's prop. 4 isn't tetra, it's bute. But then we get into the normal way of doing things: 5 pent, 6 hex, 7 hep, 8 oct, 9 non, and 10 dec. Now, if we start off by just talking about organic compounds that have no functional groups at all, so all they've got are carbon atoms and hydrogen atoms, and all the bonds are single bonds. Now, these type of molecules, as I hope you remember from your GCSE studies, are called alkanes. Okay, and their name always ends with ane. So the first thing we do is, as I alluded to a couple of times, we first of all find the longest chain in a molecule. So for example, this one here, what's the longest chain of carbon atoms? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now it's got all carbon-carbon single bonds, which makes it an ane, and it's got 4, which makes it a butane. So butane, as I know you've seen before, 4 carbon atoms, all in nice single bonds there. And sometimes we'll have branches, and when we want to include a branch in the name, we'll use the same numbering system. We'll put the branch at the start, and its name will always end in YL. Now that's much easier illustrated than just explained. Consider this molecule here. Okay, what I hope you'll appreciate here is that we've got a chain of 4 carbon atoms. They're circled in green. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always look for the longest chain. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 means again it's a butane. But then we also have this 1 carbon branch sticking off. Now 1 is meth, and branches always end in il, and we put them first, so that makes it methyl butane. Now a lot of times we'll need to distinguish where a particular branch is by numbering. So if we number our carbon atoms of the main chain, we can see that our methyl group comes off of the 2nd carbon, so we would call it 2-methyl butane. A lot of times you wouldn't need to do that for this particular one, because as we'll see in a minute, there is only one place a methyl group can go on butane. But it's good that you see it, how to number things. I don't want to get overly hung up on naming conventions yet, because we'll hit those as we encounter them in the course. But there are a few other points that I should make as we're learning just to name these nice simple alkanes. First of all, when you do your numbering, you always use the lowest possible numbering scheme. So I already saw this for the 2-methyl butane that I drew a minute ago. But how about this molecule here? Now, if you're not careful, you'd say, oh, 1, 2, 3, this is 3-methyl butane. No, not at all. Because it doesn't matter which end of the chain you start numbering, you always want to make the lowest possible numbers. So thus, starting at this end would be 1, 2, 3. Starting at this end, we would see that this is actually indeed 2-methyl butane. If there's more than one branch on there, well then there's extra special things you do. That's actually not that tough and is relatively intuitive. Let's think about this molecule here. Well, we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4 butane. We've got a methyl group there. We've got a methyl group there. The first methyl group is on the 2nd carbon. The next methyl group right here is on the 3rd carbon. So putting it all together, this would be 2, 3 dimethyl, because we've got 2 methyl groups, 1 at the 2, 1 at the 3, and our longest chain is still butane, 4 carbons. How about if there's more than one of a different type of group? I'll go a little bit larger here with our molecules. First of all, look at that long chain there that I've done in green, the nice longest chain. That's an octane, if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now on here we've got a methyl group and we've got an ethyl group. Well, the methyl group is on the 1, 2, 3 carbon, so it's 3 methyl. The ethyl group is on the 1, 2, 3, 4 carbon, so it's 4 ethyl. Notice if I'd started from the other end, it would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ethyl and 6 methyl. Always want the lowest possible numbers. Now, how do we incorporate those in the names? Well, we do it alphabetically, and so it would be 4 ethyl because E comes before M, 3 methyl octane. Now I'm going to practice doing a lot of this naming as we're going through and introducing the next concept. But there's also, of course, some practice ones in the quizzes for you to try playing with.